The Spirituality Now podcast is sponsored by Delaflor Teachings International, a spiritual and systemic coaching and consulting company with the mission to help individuals, businesses, and corporations create brilliant futures through sustainable transformation. Also sponsored by the Network for Human Empowerment, a philanthropic TV network that serves the Spanish-speaking communities with free, conscious education aimed to empower individuals to become the best versions of themselves. And our podcast producer, Ascend Media, Authority Syndication, delivering premium video marketing, podcast production, and social syndication.
Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast, a podcast committed to supporting you in your journey to life mastery and personal enlightenment. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. And I'm going to say, I am your host, Yvonne de la Flor, and I want to share the Spirituality Now. I should call it Practical Spirituality Podcast because I have been having challenging times right now with the word spirituality and with the titles of spiritual teacher, or which, I am. I've been teaching spirituality. And when I say teaching spirituality, that does by no means it puts me in a pedestal, but I teach principles of spirituality like meditation, like the Vedas, like ancient scripture used for the modern times. But I'm going to tell you, I'm recording this podcast today with my amazing guest that keeps coming just so for us to keep bringing an episodes on the Spirituality Now podcast that bring this practicality, this voice to humanity of reality of like what spirituality really means, which is being alive, right? And sometimes means surviving, and sometimes being tired, and sometimes being calm. All of that subjects. And I just wanted to mention that I'm checking in like that right now. I cannot even greet you all like, hey, breathe. This is the now, when I'm really moved right now by all of the things that are not only unfolding in the world, but also in the spiritual niche, as a lot of systems are collapsing in humanity, which I think is good, or not, but are good. Spirituality, I think, is a container that needs to collapse too for us to emerge as the spiritual beings that we are in a very practical matter. Anywho, so we have back in the podcast my beloved friend Shanti Zimmerman, who is truly, I'm not going to read the whole bio again. We have other episodes with her. Plus, she's so real that I even feel that I'm not rendering proper tribute to her by reading her bio. It sounds so mechanical, but truly she is, in my eyes and in the eyes of those she has served, and in the living example that she is with her family. She truly is an expert on maturity, care, and healthy boundaries. And when I say those things, they are far away from woo-woo. These are it's not even things, 3 aspects of our morality as human beings that we're required to master, learn the skills of maturity, of really caring for ourselves, for the world that we say we love, and for other human beings. And boundaries, obviously, they are needed because, that the crossing of boundaries has created so much unnecessary, in my view, today, as how I'm checking in today, unnecessary harm in families and in the world. So anyways, we have another episode right now with Shanti. We're calling these episodes, the Shanti episodes. Is like kind of the Shanti experience, to experience more peace and ease by just being real. So welcome back, Shanti.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, as always. And people will hear that I am sick. So just to be really transparent, I have COVID, as
Yes.
does everyone in my household. I'm still happy to be here. Gives me something to do other than being sick.
Oh, I love that.
Reflected in my voice, and it's no reason to feel bad for me.
Yes.
As with everything in life, being sick is a part of being a human as well. So nothing to hide here.
I love this. I love what you just said, because this is what spirituality is for me,
Me too.
being real.
Mhm.
I'm sick. I'm not like we were talking behind the scenes before we click on in the phone and on the phone on the microphone. See how, and
Yep.
I'm like, I'm checking in like, like with so much stuff going on right now in my mind, and that's how I'm checking in. So, in these episodes, we're trying to bring answer questions. Obviously, we're basing our responses, especially Shanti's expertise, on maturity and care and boundaries. So we have kind of a container in how to address the questions of our audience. And Shanti really brings, as people have been loving her episodes. We're about, we're recording a couple of them so that the questions of people from one episode can be addressed. And today we have interesting questions. And we're going to talk about, I don't know if we're going to talk about cults, because I am zero expert about what a cult means, but I want to bring some of the questions of people there in that, and some questions about what's going on in Ukraine and what Ukraine represents in our families, and what should we care about those topics. So anyways, I'm going to go through the list, and Shanti, in her areas of expertise, will give us her wisdom, and we'll take what is good for us, I guess, and that's all. So Shanti, besides you, kudos for you. I had COVID, and it was the least fun experience of my life.
Yeah.
And you said that it feels like it's so long. It lasts. I felt it was eternity.
Exactly. It's 9 days now, and it's like it gets better so incrementally slow. And I'm very robust. I'm very healthy. I sleep well. I eat all the things, and it's just what it is. This is the when you get sick. Anyway, like that sickness isn't a part of the health discussion. Illness is actually a part of the way that we are healthy. It really brings home just how little control we like to think we have.
Oh, that is so good. Just right there, I'm making notes. Okay, so wow. Yeah, for me, COVID lasted like it was like I'm going to tell you. I'm still recovering from that, and I experienced it last year. Like I'm going through a lot of changes in my body. It was a whole mess for my hormones, for my thyroid, for my hair, and I'm super healthy too. So, anywho's, but I love what you are sharing. Anyways, so. Let's start with questions that we have for you, Shanti, from our audience. And we'll start with the ones that appear to be simple. And this is the way that they say, this is a very simple question. They start with their question like that.
Right.
But I would love to know, I have challenges setting boundaries, not only to my coworkers, and I'll give you the framework a little bit, to my coworkers, but to anyone in my life that I want them to like me. I'm translating it from Spanish to English. And I've always felt that I was never accepted in a group. So I have a challenge setting boundaries, because I feel that if I set a boundary, or I said someone no, or I cannot do this for you, I'm actually pushing myself away from the group. Not sure if this is clear, Yvonne, or Shanti, but any advice that you have for me or insight into why I have so much challenges, even to think about the word boundary, it feels like I'm pushing away myself from the world.
Well, that's a misunderstanding a lot of people have about boundaries. That boundaries are this thing you put between yourself and somebody else. And that's not what boundaries are. Boundaries are the internal system in how we reference and relationship to ourselves and others. So boundaries are a lot less about saying no. I mean, that's definitely an aspect that comes into play. you start to be able to say an authentic yes and no, like what actually works for you, instead of I'm using my no or my yes to manipulate other people's perception of me. Boundaries are more like, who am I, and who am I in relationship to the people that I'm with, and who am I in relationship to the world? It's a lot less about pushing other people away and more about keeping yourself in, so that you don't dissipate and not know who you are in a group of people.
Yes.
This individuation process that actually needs to happen for every single human being on the planet in order to be an interdependent, healthy, relating to others is what gets cut off in our current modern systems of how we function in our families and societally. So, and if you think my boundary is going to push other people away and you believe that, then it makes it really difficult for you to find what it is you actually want. When your boundary is about, how do I want to relate to myself first? And then how do I relate to others through that self that I am occupying fully with my own awareness? So the reason it's hard for you is because we've all been conditioned to never say no and to have no real sense of self that is identifiable to us outside of the collective group of people. Like, and you shouldn't have your own ideas. You shouldn't have your own opinions. You shouldn't have your own feelings. You shouldn't be selfish. You shouldn't put yourself first. All of that is the indoctrination. And so if you just one time assert, hey, I don't feel like doing this, and it goes against the group that you're in, you think and feel, rightfully so through your conditioning, that you're doing something wrong. So it's a process of letting go. It's a long process. There's no simple answer here. It's just the beginning. The beginning is, you don't have to say no to others, but at least hear the no inside yourself.
Amen.
Like, just start by listening to yourself. Oh, I really don't want to do this. And look at me. I'm going to do it anyway. Look at what I'm doing. Interesting. And be fascinated by yourself. But be able to hear the no first. And then don't make yourself wrong for being concerned about what other people think, because you've been conditioned to be concerned about what other people think. So you're not wrong that you don't want to be not included. You're not wrong because you want people to like you. That's not a wrong position. It's just not the only position.
I love this. One of my mentors, Mark Walling, always emphasizes the boundaries. Is what you just said. You're the second person I hear has the awareness of this. Boundaries are not about others. It's about keeping us in.
Yep.
Keeping us in. And isn't that so powerful? And I love what you said about we've been conditioned. It's the indoctrination. It's kind of the voice of indoctrination disguised as our own voice. And then we make ourselves wrong for not following this indoctrination system that, wow, it just blows my mind how apparently simply it is, but it is, how you said, it's a long process. I don't want to give people like hey, just take this class and you'll get your boundaries set. No, it's a daily work.
I teach a course on boundaries, and the very first thing, like, welcome to the beginning. And I don't know when the end is, but probably the day you die. There's no, like, here's 50 boundaries that you can have in your pocket and use. No, boundaries are, when you start actually practicing boundaries, what you're actually doing is cultivating awareness into every moment of your life.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I love, what you were saying about, you were talking, you were like, I'm so inspired right now. You said, like, you are doing all of this. Sometimes we do things based on the indoctrination and everything, and we want to belong, and we want to do certain things that will allow us to be in a group. It's just, and then from there, you said, start talking to yourself. And yesterday I heard Tim Grover saying to someone, I'm in a group called Down and Dirty. How real is that? He said, he named his group, my group is called Down and Dirty because this is life. You're going to go down. You're going to get dirty. You're going to fall. I'm not going to cheer you up. I love him as a mentor because he's pretty real. He's like, I'm not going to be the motivational speaker that tells you everybody positive thinking. He's like, that's not realistic, right? And so he calls it Down and Dirty. But there was a person presenting in his group, speaking. He has something called the Team Talks, like TED Talks, but Team Talks, which he allows the group to present. And this young man, 27 years old, beautiful soul, he said, I hate to talk to myself. And Mr. Grover said to him, Well, I'll encourage you to start talking to yourself, because that's where the real conversations are going to happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's where you are going to